Hello, tech friends. Happy holidays. We pulled our favorite clip from our episodes this year. Please enjoy.
I'm Mia Lloyd, the producer. I'm here with...
That's you, Steve.
It's me?
Yeah.
Stephen Lamarca, technology analyst.
And I am Benjamin Moses, Father Time. We got a clock in the room, so that's why I said that.
Nice. I love that, actually.
Steve, I feel like we underrate the human influence on measurement.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. Okay, so what Ben is alluding to, yesterday I got in a motorcycle accident. And I'm fine. The bike's fine. More importantly, the bike is fine. But so this lady that hit me, she had a few scratches on her front bumper. And when we pulled around to a safe place to get out of the road, I had to do a loop because I was going in a different direction. So I had to go down the street opposite way of where we were agreed to go, do a U-turn, and then come back. And in that process, I found out that my handlebars, my front fork, the headstock is out of alignment.
Sure.
Felt really weird. I've never felt a bicycle or motorcycle out of alignment before.
That is a weird. I've done that a lot.
Actually, I have ridden a bicycle that had a bad alignment before,
Right.
but that was when I was working at Toys R Us, and it was like a trashed bike in like the stock room.
My experience was when I was like in high school.
And anyway, so everything, the dust settles from the accident. I get into work, and I'm like, during like some downtime, why don't I call the local shop dealership and schedule an appointment to have this fixed, because I do not want to prematurely wear out my tires, and plus I'd also just like to be able to go in a straight direction, straight line perfectly.
Important for a motorcycle.
So I call up the service center at the dealership. It's a Kawasaki. They've got a Kawasaki tech there, certified. And I'm like, do you guys do like front wheel alignments? And is there like will you be able to put it on a rack and get everything laser aligned? Because like I came from the car world.
Right.
And when you get an alignment on your car, they put it on a rack. There's a bunch of lasers shooting in every direction, and they make sure everything is perfectly aligned.
There's a lot of
I love that.
There's a lot of printouts and numbers on a car alignment.
The guy's like, yeah, that doesn't exist in the motorcycle world. Basically, the tech, we're probably going to charge you for about an hour's worth of labor, because the tech's got to loosen every single bolt connected to the steering. Like everything from the headstock to the tip of the front wheel.
Right.
Like to the tire has to be loosened.
Sure.
And they just go in there with their eyeball, a straight edge ruler, and slowly, very slowly tighten everything little by little. And they billed me for an hour.
Sure.
I was at the dealership for 4 hours. But anyway, before I even got there, I was like, wait a minute. So you just eyeball it? There's no technology to do this. There's no advanced tools.
To be fair, he used a straight edge.
And they did use a straight edge. But like, I'm used to a laser rack. Like I want to see this thing. I want to see like a print. When you take your car to a good shop and you get an alignment done, they give you a sheet at the end that says, this is what you came in like.
Yeah.
And this is where you are now. And it's perfect because we're so good. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted, taking it to a certified Kawasaki tech.
Sheet of paper reassurance.
This guy was like, who was not the Kawasaki tech. He was just like the call person for the service center. He was just like, what is that? The service advisor.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, that doesn't exist in the motorcycle world. We're just going to eyeball it. I was like, listen, let's start over. But before we start over, just tell me you're going to put it on a rack with lasers, because I cannot. I ride this thing at ungodly speeds. I don't want to know that it was just bolted together by somebody eyeballing it. Please don't tell me that.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Sure.
And, I rode it at an ungodly speed home, and it felt great. It felt better than it did new. But anyway, we don't put enough stock in how precise and accurate the human eye is.
Right.
And to take this to another example to help me settle my nerves on the fact that my motorcycle was eyeballed, there's a great video of the manufacturing workflow at Beretta.
Sure.
the
Yeah.
shotgun company. And they have this amazing video that's been out for like 5-10 years, something like
Okay.
that now. It's been out
Sure.
for a long time. It's a beautiful video. It's an epic
Yeah.
video. And it shows every step of the process from the woodsman cutting down the Turkish walnut tree.
That's cool.
To them taking the wood and putting it in a CT scanner to ensure that there's no cavities, that
Yeah.
this wood is perfect and
Yep.
pure. And then to the cold hammer forging machine
Mm-hmm.
to make the barrels and the CNC, like everything that makes these Beretta barrels perfect. And then you have to keep in mind, Beretta does make some semi-auto shotguns, and they make
Sure.
other semi-auto firearms,
Right.
but they're bread and butter. It's almost like a gold Rolex. You know you've made it when you have a Beretta shotgun, and
Yes.
that shotgun is not a semi-auto. It's an over and under with a
Right.
walnut stock. And those shotguns start at $2,000.
Right.
In the $2,000, they go up to like $200,000 plus, but they start at $2,000, and that's for like a fully autonomously made, over and under shotgun.
They're high production stuff.
But it's not fully autonomously made. They have the best machine tools in the industry.
Right.
But you'll notice watching this video, you see all these tools. They say they have their own CT scanner.
Yep.
And they have their own alloy. They probably
Sure.
employed Questech to make them a specialty steel alloy for their barrels.
Yep.
They take a lot of pride that they have their own trademarked steel alloy for their barrels. It's really cool. But an over and under shotgun is two, in Beretta's case, perfectly manufactured barrels
Yep.
that have to be sandwiched together. They have to
Right.
be fused together with welding or whatever. I don't know exactly how they do that part. But they marry these two barrels that you would like to shoot in the same direction.
Correct.
At the same thing.
Yep.
Do you know how they make sure that they're aligned?
Lasers.
Some guy eyeballs it.
They just hold it up to the light.
Up to a light and eyeballs it.
I love it. That's the best.
and we have all of this technology today. We
Right.
are. It is this quite literally the state of the art right now.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and Beretta's facility is state of the art.
Absolutely.
They're still eyeballing
It's
barrels.
and it's interesting back to when I was at a manufacturing facility, one of my old manufacturer mentor, Carl Tab, I would say, Carl, take a look at this. This clearly is a gap. What happened here? He helped me get through the corrective action issues that we would have on the manufacturing floor. And he's like, you had an eyeball. It's like, oh, that's 32 thousandths off. Like, Carl, that can't be
Wow.
right. And then, of course, I would measure it. It'd be 31 thousandths. Come on. Just eyeballing stuff. The years of experience and training and repetitive nature build up that knowledge base of, being able to compare a gap of, two parts and what the actual measurement was. And I do think that we've gotten to a place where, we should rely on machines at some point, but
Right.
we should not underestimate the value of the human influence or human capability.
And honestly, I think that's what the robot arm industry is. That's their target is.
Sure,
We want to match the human eye.
Yeah. And, we're talking about human optical comparison, but even to measure force, often
Right.
we talk about hand tightening stuff.
Oh, yeah. How many Ugga-Duggas? like 62 inch pounds?
Yeah.
Inch pounds, you nerd? Give it 3 Ugga-Duggas and then back it out half a turn.
Exactly. the underestimation of, importance of torque. I underestimate that myself. And, hand tightening stuff to a certain value to, just another quarter turn that gets you pretty far.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot. So we're talking about the positive of the human influence, but also the negative is I screwed up myself. I was changing spark plugs on Deepa's truck, and I over torqued the spark plug. To be fair, I was trying to use a torque wrench, and I think I was using a broken torque wrench.
Wow.
And I think I broke the spark plug.
Broken torque wrenches. There's
That set me up.
We could do another episode on torque wrenches.
Broken tools.
Well, not just broken torque wrench. We could do an episode on broken tools.
Yeah.
But just torque wrenches.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a religion behind torque wrenches.
Yes.
Because you have to take care of one.
There's a maintenance for
if
it.
you have an electronic torque wrench, everybody that I know has an electronic torque wrench is before you put that away, set it back to 0. Well, this is any torque wrench.
Yep.
before you put it back in its box, and it has to go back in its box.
Yeah.
And everybody that I know that has one not only puts the torque wrench back in the box, but puts like the protective plastic case that came in back in the cardboard box after that. But like before you even get to putting it back in the box, whatever setting you had of 35 foot-pounds, set it back to 0.
I think that was a mistake. I think
Remove the tension from the spring. Then you can put it back in the box. Then you can put it back in the box, back in its box, and then you can put it away. And you better put that tool away. Like nobody's ever complained about losing a torque wrench the way they've lost. People talk about losing 10 millimeter sockets,
Right.
But electric torque wrenches, set it to 0.
Yep.
Then take the batteries out.
Oh, man.
I didn't realize that.
That's
was
extreme.
Oh man, I screwed that up with somebody's electric. So you didn't take the batteries out.
Yep. Yep.
I was like, yeah, why would I? It was
why
like,
would you?
listen, if you put an electric torque wrench, a torque wrench is an expensive tool.
Correct.
Hard to replace. Like nobody wants to replace a torque wrench. That's a couple $100 if you have a good one, a worthwhile one.
Yep.
And if it's an electronic, add another $100 to that. And you don't want to replace that.
Yep.
But the other problem with torque wrenches is how often do you really need to use one?
That's the thing.
You know,
I'm doing
if you're
100
if you're an auto technician for like a German car manufacturer's
sure.
dealership, you probably use it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Japanese American car, you probably say you use it on a daily basis, but you definitely go by Ugga-Duggas.
Yes.
But you rarely use a torque wrench.
Yep.
It's an expensive tool. If you put it away for like a year and you don't use it for a year and you got an electronic one and you come back to it and you take it out of the cardboard sleeve, you open up the box, and then you see battery paste, like battery acid that is like leaked,
the corrosion
spewed out and like solidified.
Yep.
It's like
That's
the
done.
new $500 wrench you got to buy.
Just based on a battery. Yeah. Yeah. I feel your
From
pain.
one stupid $5 AA Duracell or whatever.
That's a mistake I made. I didn't check. Like I didn't do a test on the torque wrench. That idea passed my mind before I started cranking down it, but I didn't listen to my mind. Mistake. Steve, can you tell us more about our sponsor today?
Today's sponsor is MT Forecast. MT Forecast brings the latest economic news and industry trends straight to attendees. Industry leaders, executives, and key decision makers will explore an agenda that provides a roadmap to better business strategies through customer industry insights, economic forecasting, and deep dives into market data. For years, MT Forecast speakers have been sharing crucial looks into the near future. Go to amtonline.org/events to save the date and register.
Thanks, Steve.
Like, share, and subscribe.
I was going to remind you there, but you got it.
You do need to remind me of something else. What did we want to talk about, MT Forecast? I want to go.
It's in Detroit.
It's going to be in Detroit. And I've mentioned for like the 3 past episodes now, so it's actually a miracle that I forgot, that when we're in Detroit, you can catch me at the Guardian building in the financial district of Detroit because I want to see that Monell gate.
Yeah. Yeah. I do 2 side things related to the conference.
Yeah.
There's 2 tours, actually 3 tours that are set up.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the third one is, but I know
Mine's unofficial. It's the third one.
One is at Fanuc.
Oh, nice.
The other tour is at Phoebe's.
Is John Toohey taking us around Fanuc?
Sure.
He is so fun. like he does the best tour.
He does a good tour. But as part of the event, the value add, those tours are awesome.
They really
I haven't been to Fanuc, but the Phoebe's tour is really, really good.
The other tour is Lyft.
Lift, yes.
That's some solid tours.
Oh, you gotta
It's
go.
pretty great.
This
Yeah.
is
That's good.
You can relive road tripping with Steve by
That's-
going to MT Forecast.
Solid plug.
Solid.
What's the other thing about MT Forecast? Yeah, so like it's a lot of the marketing stuff, which typically in the past has always been the stuff that I avoid. But at the same time, the cherry on top that really drive people there, the solid tours. But I will be there, and I'm really excited to go this year because 2023 has been an exciting and somewhat spicy year in terms of end use.
Yep.
Like I want to go really to find out who a certain manufacturer, builder has been selling to in Russia.
Uh-oh.
That shouldn't have been.
Uh-oh.
And I want to find out. Oh, this year I've been going on a lot of trips to trade shows for end use industries
Yeah.
of manufacturing, and I want to find out, of these end use industries, who are they buying from,
Yeah.
and who
Yeah.
are our members, the people who enable these end use industries, who are they selling to?
Yeah.
So where I can go next.
And I think Chris is looking to some other markets. So I think he was talking about where defense is headed also, based on your experience
Yeah.
at SHOT Show. So I do like the other economic sectors that we're branching into to understand their market trends.
And defense, like I realize that we're a little biased because we both,
we're into firearms.
we like our firearms. But regardless of what your opinion is and what your political opinion or political stance is, you have to acknowledge the
That's standard.
the standardized model that there are 7 families,
Right.
Or do we go by AMUG's like massive spreadsheet of they're all different? But you can split hairs and say that there's like a million different types of additive,
Sure.
Or you can be like, no, 100,000 of these million all fall into one category.
Exactly.
The best way to do it is just that equation,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Material composition, material format, energy type, and time at which energy is applied.
Yep.
Those 4 variables dictate whether or not you have a new type of additive technology.
Sure. Thanks, Steve. And there's a blurred line of, if I build up a couple layers, is it truly additive? But that's where we get into like hybrid manufacturing and composite or multi-layer materials. And
Yeah.
that's where I think a lot of the future iterations is bimetal applications, multi-metal applications on a single part, right? So you've got
yeah.
parent material can be one thing, your surface conditions could be another, and, a transition layer. So that's the future, Steve. I want to know more about Thermwood.
I just thought, before we go into Thermwood, and I can't wait to talk about Thermwood,
Okay.
I can't wait until there is a forging type of additive.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I keep going back to when I talk about multi-material,
Yeah.
multi-metal,
Yeah.
additive is just like I can't wait until somebody 3D prints a katana.
Sure.
Because when you
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
when you look at the composition
I see what
of
you mean.
metals in a Japanese folded steel blade, there's 7 types of different steels throughout the when you do a cross section cut of
Right.
that blade,
Right.
and that comes from the Japanese, man.
Right.
Like,
Just spending time.
like they take a year to make the bonfire kiln / apparatus out of rocks,
Right.
to get the fire hot enough to forge said steel.
Yep.
Anyway, that's a tangent, but I'm looking. There's got to be
So that
a forging way to additively produce something.
that is very interesting because castings won't go away. Additives is a good way to get more
Additive is
advancement.
CNC welding.
But forging is a very economical way to get high strength material in a near net shape. Forgings are very underrated in our discussions
Yeah.
about technology. So the path to get to, like you said, multi-metal forgings to get to a future state of, I see a lot more multi-metal applications, bimetal, biplastic materials.
Right.
Applications. And I think forging is definitely underrated, and I do see an opportunity of doing that because when you look at energy source and the conditions that the material is in and the ability to bond to those materials, forging is pretty close to being able to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's a good thought, Steve. I appreciate
And
that.
this does segue into Thermwood's, an article I have about Thermwood.
Yep.
Thermwood's a big additive company,
Yep.
big in the literal sense because they are a big company, but also they also specialize in LSAM, large scale additive manufacturing. Always get it confused, LSAM confused with LASM, long range air to surface missile.
That's why they're popular. They got a DoD acronym.
Dude, that's how you get those DoD. We're going to talk about that later. I know we're going to talk about that later. That's how you get those DoD contracts. Come up with as many acronyms, but not just acronyms, but fun acronyms as possible. I'm spoiling it. I'm sorry. Thermwood has released something recently saying that we've got a new type of additive. And I clicked on this article right
Yeah,
away
sure.
to read about it. And I'm thinking, we're going to see something additive. And I forget what the acronym is. It's like CAT or CAS, something
Yeah,
like that.
right.
And basically, what they're doing is not. It's barely additive at all. If anything, it's more hybrid manufacturing.
I understand.
Because they are saying that the best way to large scale 3D print big metal parts, machine layers.
Oh, interesting.
Machine the layers.
Yeah.
And once you have all the layers, have them welded together.
Gotcha.
Have them placed and welded together. And what's cool is they even got the software part of this down.
Yeah.
And what's cool about that is the software was made from doing almost the same process because we've already got slicing software and we've already got nesting software. And it's just slicing and nesting in the same process, or at least a lot sooner.
And I do. So the scale is very important in that conversation because everyone knows that you have thermal growth variation as you're building an additive part. So as you're printing a layer and keep growing, let's say you're building a cylinder straight up.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to get growth in an odd direction because of the way the thermal energy is dissipated in the part, or the way the layers build up. When you go to something building like a 10-foot size part, that variation is exaggerated to from thousands of an inch to feet, right? So if you're able to break it up and build several different parts together, I think that machining, mid-stage machining and joining, that is definitely underrated, and that is a solid growth potential for growing large scale parts.
Yeah. And because like a week ago I was nerding out with Doug about this.
Yeah.
We were talking about this technology while in the snack room. What's cool, what I mentioned was, ever since I've been in this industry, the dream of all builders and implementers of manufacturing technology, the dream in terms of technology, the end goal that this industry wants to see out of the next generation machine tool is seeing a machine that makes parts bigger than the machine's footprint.
Yeah.
And this is a step closer to that.
That's true. That's fascinating. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Thermwood.
Yeah.
I've got an article that's got 3 other articles inside of it. Talk about nested. So this is from R&D. It's an interesting look. Even though 23 is not done, for some reason, there's 2023 R&D 100 award winners. So they found the top 100 R&D projects and said these are going to change the world. I thought it was a very interesting article.
That's big.
I picked the top 3.
Then again, with inflation where it is, it's not going to be hard to change the world to a forward.
And to your point, the first one, Steve, has a really good acronym.
Okay.
Cerberus.
Okay, break it down. Let's hear it.
Cybersecurity for EV charging infrastructure. It's from the Idaho National Labs.
Wow.
So the reason I bring this up, it talks about the EV market.
Cars are being hacked again?
And cybersecurity, I know our audience doesn't like to talk about it, but they're talking about if you go to EV charging station, your car is communicating to the EV station.
Yeah.
What they're looking at is government working on government policy and cybersecurity equipment to prevent charging stations from being criminalized, basically from preventing them from being hacked.
Okay.
Because a couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember,
there
was a Virginia Tech project where they were able to hack into a car while it's driving and force it to pull over on the road.
Yes. I do remember that well, and it just dropped off the face of the earth. It's like, did cybersecurity really just patch this that fast? Like, it's not a problem at all. What happened to this?
Exactly.
And how come I'm not seeing it, frankly? Because I would love to see that.
So I think this one talks about and plus, to be honest, a couple of years ago, I feel like there was a ransomware article every single day. It's tapered down a little bit. I think
we're done hearing about Stuxnet.
Big ransom company. They've calmed down a little bit. I think they've kept it under wraps.
Big ransom.
Big ransom.
whole industry.
But
super corrupt.
I've got an older car where the home charging station that I have does communicate a little bit, so it does know like the battery levels and things like that. But I feel like the more modern cars, once you plug into an external charging station, it's sharing data, and I feel like a lot of them are sharing data that you can communicate to your phone, so you can look on your phone to see, am I done? Then you can move your car. But that whole path there's a lot of threat vectors along that, and I think that this test this research project is looking to, hey, let's keep our corals cool for a while.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty good.
Cerberus.
That's a
Now,
good-
now listen. we do have to talk to our listeners, our our job shops.
Yeah.
That okay, if you're a successful job shop and you're driving a Tesla, this does not mean to put hot glue in the charging port of your Tesla. You still have to be able to charge it. Just get a software update. It'll be fine.
That's like everything else. Just keep it update.
Just keep it up to date.
The next one I've got is I have to figure out how the cool kids pronounce this. GRX 810, a 3D printable alloy designed for extreme environments from NASA Glenn Research Center.
You haven't heard of printing with Grix, bro?
Do you even Grix?
Do you even Grix, bro?
So I thought this was really cool because space industry has adopted a lot of additive processes and techniques because they are seeing a lot of value in terms of the applications, increased power, increased efficiency. So this one looks at oxide dispersion strengthened alloy. That's above my pay grade. I'm not sure where they're headed with that. Created a novel additive manufacturing technique, withstands harsher conditions, making it suitable for high temperature applications such as inside aircraft and rocket engines.
Wow.
Then they get into some claims about oxidation resistance and how it's 1,000 times stronger at temperature. But the basic application is they're looking for more harsh. A rocket is an oxidizer, right?
Yeah.
So you have a nozzle that needs to be able to be oxidation resistant. So that's what they're looking at is being able to work in the hard condition, but also withstand the temperatures. So that was
On
pretty interesting.
planet Earth, combusting anything is oxidizing it
Exactly.
because of our atmosphere.
Right.
Didn't mean to science us like that. Sorry.
And I see that as a growing shift of, I'll call it designer materials. So you're not gonna see Grix on your car, but where you're gonna see
Yet.
you could it's cylinder.
Last year,
sure.
I saw my first advertisement
Yeah.
for an Inconel exhaust. But Inconel is so 1932 at this point.
So on my, I'm gonna throw something at you, Steve. I'm gonna throw some shade on the argument. Steve.
All right.
My 2001 Golf, when I was looking to go to stage 3 turbocharger,
Okay.
the Inconel, the manifold that the aftermarket company provided to the exhaust manifold to bolt the turbo on, they gave a new manifold.
Okay.
That was cast at Inconel 625.
They casted Inconel?
Yeah,
How do you
yeah,
cast?
yeah.
You can cast Inconel?
I mean, it's 625. It's not that.
Okay.
So to the point is, I think in the future we're going to
Wow.
see a lot of being able to get unique materials for specific applications. So to your point of, hey, let's just stop using steel. Maybe that's not the best thing for a manifold, particularly if you're going 15,000 RPMs. Let's get something a little more resilient there. What is the best material for that? What is the best composition we need for that? Let's design it, make it, and then move on to the next one. So I think that ties into the next one, Steve. Talk about segue. And I pronounce this MADE.
Okay.
MAD3 is the acronym.
I like that. Made.
Materials Data Driven Design by Sandia National Laboratories.
Oh, our boy Tom or Lonnie.
Yeah.
Lonnie Love.
MADE is an innovative software that leverages the power of machine learning to modernize forming and stamping processes by sheet metals by predicting the parameters and characterize the directional mechanical behavior of metal alloys 1,000 times faster.
Wow.
So what they're saying is
I can't even process what you just said. And they're doing it 1,000 times faster.
forming and stamping. It's fairly difficult actually because you're taking a piece of sheet metal, the thickness of that, you have variation, and then you get variation of the strength of it. Say I want to make a cup,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
That final form, I'm taking a male and female die and I'm just shoving that into the die, and then forming a flat piece of metal into a cup, right? Or a bowl, whatever.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I've got a male die and I shove a piece of metal into a female cavity. The final form is going to be based on the thickness of the sheet metal and the material strength
Right.
and your starting point. What they're saying is they're coming up with processes to get to understanding that significantly faster. So the shape of the die, the forming pressure, how long you dwell, all of those are forming processes and stamping processes variables, but they vary from machine to machine and based on your material, right? So they're looking at getting removing the art side of forming to getting to scientifically figuring out what should that process be and getting a first part correct.
Okay.
We need to talk about more of forming.
Yeah.
That stuff is hard.
Man, I used to think that metrology was the realm of manufacturing that doesn't get enough love. But really, honestly, these days it's forming.
Forming's hard.
Joining gets plenty of love because joining is like half additive.
Or the other way around.
Other way around. But forming, yeah.
Forming is real.
And then that means we'll get to talk about shaped charges.
Forming is real. I did as a wee engineer.
Yeah.
I did a lot of forming stuff, and it was heartbreaking to see. They had some really tight tolerances, a lot of stuff I did. It was heartbreaking to spend months designing the dies, machining the dies, getting the press set up, form it, take it off that forming press, get inspected, and it's like, nope, it's off.
Yeah.
Then I started shooting for different windows within the tolerance band and, plastic deformation in certain areas and accounting for the elastic zone. It's tough, man. It's not easy.
I believe it. I have a tough enough time pouring the batter at the hotel waffle irons and then closing it and flipping it over. And then you open up the iron 2 minutes later only to find that there's a huge gap in like one side of the waffle. I'm like, no, I can only imagine how it feels when you're using expensive material and not pancake batter.
Exactly. Steve, I do want to end on the intersection of our hobbies and work.
Yes. Okay.
There's a new player in the game.
I legitimately found this article on a 3D printing website.
Yeah.
Talking about Corsair, the gaming PC company.
Yeah.
That I'm sure they don't want to be referred to that anymore because Corsair's like come so far in like the last decade, probably even 5 years.
Their roots were from gaming equipment. And
Their roots came from gaming, making peripherals, making PC cases, PC
Yeah.
building stuff.
Yep.
Then they were like, you know what? We're kind of big. Let's make our own PCs, like our own pre-built PCs.
Right.
Their pre-built PCs are some of the best like gaming grade pre-builds in the industry.
Very innovative.
That are very future-proof too.
Yes.
Future-proof and innovative.
Yeah.
Innovative. And they saw that success and they're like, oh man, we're really good at this.
Yeah.
And then they got into making professional PCs.
Okay.
Professional PCs meaning a gaming grade PC, but now instead of a gamer whose mom and dad gave him $2,000 or her $2,000 to buy a high end gaming PC, now it's a professional that used their gaming PC from back in the day. Now they're an architect, or a video editor,
or CAD designer.
A CAD designer.
Yeah.
Now they need a powerful workstation. Corsair's got your back.
Nice.
Corsair's making and Corsair's like their character arc is they're gonna be like the next Dell, and I mean that in the best way, not like the Dell that we know today.
The good Dell from back
that's
in the day.
resting like on their laurels. But like, was there a good Dell back in the day, or do they just have the business model right?
They had a good business model.
Yeah,
It was easy to buy.
well, they're getting into like, okay, they're scaling up their production.
Yep.
And they're targeting organizations instead of individuals.
Cool. Okay.
And they're targeting businesses.
Okay.
Anyway, Corsair just released in this article, or announced in this article, that they have come to market, or they're coming to market with a new desk.
Okay. Sure.
Sounds lame right away. It's a variable desk, so it's
Yeah.
like it's a regular sitting desk, but it will raise up for you
Sure.
with a motor
Okay.
to become a standing desk. But they advertise it, or they are claiming that it is like an industrial grade workbench desk. And the best part about it is in the marketing materials, like the images and pictures that they've included in the marketing materials, shows this really cool looking desk. And the person who's working at it, the technician or whatever, is standing at this desk because it's variable. There's a chair behind them, but they're standing, and the desk is elevated. There's one of their awesome Corsair gaming workstation
Workstations,
PCs on the desk. And behind the desk and attached to the desk is a tool rack.
Oh.
with an organizable organization tool rack,
Sure.
you know, with where you can put your various stuff wherever you need it and
Yeah.
keep it off of the flat surface. And on the other side of the desk is a 3D printer or a laser cutter.
Yeah.
And they're really going hard at this.
That's cool.
But they advertise it as a workbench that can hold like a ton
Yeah.
or something. You can actually put manufacturing equipment on it.
That's cool.
So I can't wait. I hope I get to see. I know we're not getting one anytime soon, probably. We already have an awesome desk, though. Well, excuse me, workbench.
Yep.
That was 8-gauge steel. I can't wait. I haven't gone into the details of what they're making their desks out of. But to have a motor actuate it,
Yeah.
like we have desks that do that now.
Sure.
But they're not rated to have manufacturing equipment on them.
So
and they're not in a shop.
I do like the application of, there's a lot of, I wouldn't call it office luxuries, but there's a lot of benefits of working in an office.
Yeah.
Having some of those nice features go into the manufacturing floor. So like a sit-stand desk, a variable desk. You're not going to see that a lot on a floor for various reasons, but having, their Corsair experiment with, we'll call it industrial grade or something robust enough where you're comfortable putting this next to a CNC mill and allowing an operator to work on this desk, that's fantastic. There's a lot of value and, there's benefits of a sit-stand desk. Why not allow more people to do it?
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I like the fact that Corsair is just
And it's
branching out.
Corsair.
It's going to be good.
Like, man. But Corsair is such a niche company that makes niche products.
Sure.
And here they are with like the most niche product they probably make.
Yep.
That applies to so many different industries and so many different people. And it's like, okay, they're not niche anymore.
So I think their next step is, if you keep track of the technologies that they've done, peripherals, they do all the
Water cooling,
loop.
closed loop water cooling.
Now they build PCs, they're building a desk, they're going to build a factory. Corsair factory for you.
All right, we should be worried about Corsair developing an AI because next thing you know, they're going to be making themselves.
Replicants.
Whoa. All right, keep your eye on Corsair.
And with that, Ramia,
And Lord have mercy, we can't let Corsair Australia get their hands on Corsair. Then we know it's game over. Well, maybe not game over, but they're taking over.
a Corsair Australia mixtape. It's over. Ramia, where can they find more info about us?
You can find more information at amtonline.org/resources.
Like, share, subscribe. Bing bong.
Bye, everyone.
You got me.